evening, everyone. This meeting is called to order at H12. Can everyone please stand for the pledge? Happy New Year to everyone. Hope the 2016 is treating you well so far. I have to get started with some housekeeping things. So, effective night, September 1st, 1991, Chapter 9 of the Laws of 1991 requires that we inform persons other than students who attend meetings within a school of the proper procedures to evacuate a building in an orderly and timely manner in the event of a fire emergency. You must evacuate this room because of an emergency. There are 2 exits behind you. I feel like your airline stewardess. One to the right, one to the left. They exit onto the north field, and there are also exit doors as you leave the auditorium. And go to your right. These lead to the parking lot on Rockville Drive. I'd like to compliment the Plaza School principal and the staff on the excellent condition we find in school, and I thank the Plaza PTA for the refreshments provided for executive session. So, at this time, the board accepts the minutes of the Board of Education meeting held December 9th, 2015, as detailed in the Friday mail. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Press. Are there any questions or corrections on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Treasurer's Report. The Board of Education acknowledges the receipt of the Treasurer's Report for the month of November 2015, as detailed in the Friday mail.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to the Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So first I have to ask you want the good news or bad news first? Bad news, you didn't win. Good news, I won the lottery tonight, so we're going to call it. It's only 1.4 million, but no, I'm kidding. Just a joke. Billion, if that matters, doesn't matter. So we have some very, very exciting news to share with the community. This is really groundbreaking, not only for Baldwin, but it is groundbreaking for K-12 schools. You've heard, I think, for the last few months about a partnership that we've entered into with Molloy College that we've been calling a collaboratory, which the word stems from, we think we kind of made it up, but it's a word that is both collaborative and a laboratory. On behalf of both Molloy and the Baldwin schools, Molloy College applied for a regional economic development grant. School districts are not allowed to apply for it, but colleges are allowed to apply for it. And I'm very pleased to let our community know that we received the grant. And so our Schubert School is now considered a regional economic development zone. And along with that comes the opportunities not only for grants, but what we are going to house in the second floor of Schubert together with Molloy is a collaboratory that will be the beginnings of our new media academy. We went ahead and visited some collaborative workspaces. So if you are under the age of 30, you most likely work in an environment that would mirror cubicles when we were that age, but they've taken the walls, the cubicles down. And so people work in spaces, honestly, that are about this wide and this deep. Everything you own is on these spaces, all your little trinkets, your lunch, your breakfast, your computer, everything is on there. But these collaborative workspaces are really designed for startups. And it allows for different startups to share space, to rent out space and to share space. And it is really the collective minds of some of the brightest, most entrepreneurial people that you've ever met. So what is this going to mean for Baldwin and for our students? What it's going to mean is this collaboratory is going to have our high school students working together with college students who are part of this new media academy and this new media program at Baldwin. And it will also allow them to have space where they are their own startup and starting their own business. So it is truly the K-12 to higher ed to career pathway. And it is located in our community. It is entrepreneurial, it's new vision, it's really, really exciting. So we will continue. There is a press release that has gone out, and we're hoping that Newsday will cover that. And we kind of go from here. It's very, very exciting, and we're really pleased at the news. So that's number one.
Yeah. I think I just would like to say, just to jump in on that, I don't know if you emphasized enough how unique this is. We are unique in being the only district on Long Island that has been selected for this kind of a partnership, so that we're the first, we're unique. This is so 20th century,
Or
21st century education, school to career, career path. It's about all the things that we're all talking about and people are talking about in the world of education. So it's very exciting, and it's so exciting to know that we're unique. We're the first.
So the
And
first
it's all
I,
about-
we are innovative.
And it's about, and I do have to say this, that it's all about building relationships. And if you don't get these things done without building relationships with the people who can help. And I give enormous credit to our superintendent, who has in fact built a relationship with Molloy College and with the people that need to be involved in order to make this happen for Baldwin. So deserve a lot of credit, and I'm really happy to do this work.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
So in addition to that, nothing's going to be as good as me winning the lottery and that, but we'll go on anyway. We were asked by the LICE organization, which is at a University of Pennsylvania, to be one of 6 school districts to present to about 30 other school districts on Long Island the types of things that are happening in Baldwin. And so I want to publicly thank Dr. Seniak, Ms. Norris, Ms. Gadis, Ms. Carmela Tefano, and Ms. Lori Presti for participating in that presentation. Not only was our presentation innovative and all of the other things, but we had a whole bunch of people come to ask us after the presentation if they could come to Baldwin to see what we're doing, because they were so excited about some of the things that we're doing. So some more good news for Baldwin. We had our school to career breakfast. I am continually impressed with our kids. I was at Franklin General today where we had a shadow day, and I said out loud, I feel like the mother of all these kids, and I'm proud of every single one of them, because they're just so bright and just such wonderful kids. And I'll give you some more information about that in a couple of minutes. Some student kudos. Baldwin High School students were once again participating in the 2nd annual Spark Challenges, sponsored by, now called the Northwell, formerly North Shore LIJ Hospitals, and Baldwin. Baldwin is the only school district with students on 6 teams: radiation, industrial engineering, public health, the iBank, dietary, and risk management. The students are currently preparing posters using Photoshop for the competition in April at the Cradle of Aviation Museum. Special thanks to our art teachers, Michelle Leamer-Kelly and Kelly Iabon, for working after school with our students to train them on the intricacies of Photoshop. Baldwin High School robotics team reached the semifinals at Half Hollow Hills Invitational in November, using the 2015 robot with upperclassmen, mentoring underclassmen, drive teams, and pit crews. Having tried to work that robot. I can assure you that it is not easy, but it suffered no damage from me trying to use it. The robotics team is currently working hard to build their robot for this year's competition called First Stronghold, a game in which robots defend their own castle and challenge the castles of other opponents for competition at New York City Regional in March. The first annual VEX Robotics Tournament, sponsored through a grant from the Baldwin Foundation for Education and dedicated to the memory of former BFE President Sheila Cohn, was held at Baldwin High School on January 5th. 7 teams of students new to robotics were mentored by upperclassmen over a 6-week period to build robots to play soccer. Students, parents, and alumni were treated to a fun peek into the world of robotics. The New York Sports Writers Association ranked the girls varsity basketball team as number 1 on Long Island and number 4 in New York State, and the boys varsity basketball number 3 on Long Island and 24 in New York State. Newsday highlighted the Big Ten high school sports teams last week, which included girls varsity basketball listed as number 6. That is a big deal. The girls varsity cheerleading team qualified for national competition, which will take place in Kissimmee, Florida in February. 13 girls representing all of Baldwin elementary schools participated in the Girls in the Run 5K race in December at Hofstra University. And once again, Steele 5th grader Shiha Quain won first place just as she did in the last race in spring, this time in 25 minutes. Earlier today, Baldwin High School juniors Jared Roden and Julie Anachiarico represented Baldwin at the inaugural Most Physically Educated Student Competition at Delphi University. The students competed in a basketball physical education test, fitness test, and 4x4 basketball and badminton games. The ranking will be out shortly. And as I said before, today our high school attended the 3rd annual Northwell Health Franklin Hospital Shadow Day. Baldwin High School is the only school that has a shadow day at Franklin, and the students were closely paired with mentors who worked in fields they aspire to pursue, including pediatrician, surgeon, nurse, sports therapist, physician's assistant, psychologist, pharmacist, pediatric oncologist, and chef. That is quite impressive. And that's all I've got for you today.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Before we go into our board reports, I'm going to turn the mic over to Mrs. O'Hagan.
Thank you, Mrs. Reed. Flags at Baldwin School District buildings were flown at half-staff today to honor the memory of former school board trustee and board president, Bernard Patinsky. Bernie, as everybody called him, served as a member of the Baldwin School Board from 1981 through 1993, 5 years of which he served as board president. Bernie was a finance guy, comptroller for a major university, but voters who thought they were getting a fiscal conservative got a man who balanced fiscal responsibility with a deep respect for education. His was a firm and authoritative voice, and he was a strong leader for the district through some turbulent years when school closings triggered strong emotions among community members. Bernie loved the Baldwin School District, and he and his wife Janet continued to be Baldwin residents, even as friends and neighbors departed for Point South. His 4 sons all graduated from Baldwin High School, and it was his particular delight to personally award each of them their diploma at graduation. His son Matthew developed the company Blackboard Inc., one of whose services is Blackboard Connect, used by many school districts, including Baldwin. Bernie continued to attend school budget hearings long after he left the board. It is one measure of his continued commitment to our community. So we take this moment to say thank you for Bernie's service. Bernie's wife Janet and his oldest son Lawrence are here this evening, and I would ask them to stand so we can recognize them. Thank you very much.
sounded like a wonderful person,
He was.
and
He was. And before they leave, I just have to throw in one thing that isn't scripted. When you talked about the Shadow Day, Bernie hired the superintendent who started the whole program of Shadow Days with Mercy. So he did not serve with her, but he was the guy who hired her. So
thank you.
it's really nice to know that the legacy goes on.
Yes. Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask my board colleagues if they'd like to report out on things that they've attended and participated in since we last met. So I will start with Mrs. DeRusca.
Have no items to report for the first time.
No?
I can't even remember anything else, but I've been in the same mode as everyone probably else has been in terms of vacation mode, but happy New Year, everyone.
Mrs. O'Hagan?
Well, you did have stuff to say because I saw you at the concerts, and that's what I was going to say. It does seem like a long time ago, but I was at the Brookside and Meadow concerts and both of the high school concerts, and just I can't say enough. The students were absolutely wonderful, and when you look at the high school concerts, the complexity of the music is really impressive. They're doing pieces that are very challenging. And there's been a wonderful collaboration with composers who have actually composed pieces specifically for our students, and so it was terrifically impressive. I was at the School to Career breakfast that Dr. Kami referred to, and that definitely is, I've said it before, probably one of the highlights of the program here in Baldwin is the opportunity that we provide kids to shadow, to work with businesses, and they were just so well spoken. It's really incredible. And then I had an opportunity on December 18th. I was one of 4 school board members from Long Island to attend the Commissioners Roundtable up in Albany. About 25 of us from across the state met with the new education commissioner, and I would just say to my colleagues that I think we have some work to do. She was more receptive certainly than the prior commissioner. She was at least willing to listen, but I think she has a very hopeful and wistful view of the difference that the new regulation temporarily decoupling the APPR scores from tests. I think the feeling in Albany is that that's going to be, solve everything. So we tried to disabuse her of that notion. I don't know how successful we were, but anyway, it was a wonderful opportunity to at least get the views of school board members into the ear of somebody who matters and who has the power to do something about it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Press?
Happy New Year, everyone. Good to be back at Plaza. Hey, Plaza. Yeah, I was kind of like Ms. DeResca. I couldn't remember what happened since the last board meeting, but I was at the School to Career breakfast, and those events, they're just always impressive. Our kids are they're so well spoken, and the experiences that they're getting on these the shadow days and the events they're participating in, you could see the impact that it's having on them. So I think it's great for them to have this opportunity so early in their education. So they're not going to college and spending all this money on a degree, and they go, oh, I hate that. I just spent $100,000 and more. So it's great that I think that we can offer that to them. I was at the winter concert, just went to the honors concert. Just so Mrs. O'Hagan, she really stated that they are doing such great stuff. I know at the band level, just because I'm a little more involved there, the stuff that they're doing is like college level music or beyond, and they're just nailing it. They're just totally knocking it out of the park, which is a statement to the kids, because that's stuff that requires just so much effort and practice on their part. It's a statement to the program and the teachers along the way. And actually, sort of along those lines, we have this weekend is all county. So I think we have 50 plus kids participating all over Nassau County And if you're interested, there's concerts at the Tillis Center this weekend, I think Friday evening and Saturday afternoon. And there's the jazz concert on Sunday afternoon, which is just awesome. I just go because I don't have any kids in it. We don't have any Baldwin kids there, but they're just so awesome that I just go. And then this afternoon, I got to spend 90 minutes in the middle of my day, my sort of lunch hour, listening to our governor speak. It was wonderful. Yeah, he laid out this wonderful, wonderful agenda, which had a lot of stuff in there that I loved. Infrastructure. I have no idea how he's going to pay for it all. It was very, very ambitious. But he did talk about, school aid, and there's supposed to be a nice increase, a little bump in school aid this year, $1 billion or so. Talked about eliminating the gap elimination adjustment over 2 years. So we're seeing little increases. We are still way below what the legislature promised back in 07, 08 when they instituted foundation aid. But we're seeing some improvements there. There was some increase proposed in payments for universal pre-K. I think the devil's in the details here, but it was spending a lot of money. Just curious where it all comes from. So.
I listened to that.
Yeah.
Up until I had to go pick up Elisa from school.
He went on for so long.
He didn't talk about Common Core, did he? Did I miss that?
He mentioned it briefly.
He didn't really.
Yeah, he breezed past it, and he wanted to. My notes here say he wanted to correct the Common Core implementation mistakes, and urged the SED, the Education Department, to do it right this time.
Really?
So he took no responsibility.
Of course
He
not.
didn't mention APPR at all. So that was interesting. So that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. I don't really have much to add other than I also attended all the concerts. I think I was just everything was kind of a blur by the time we got to the high school concert too, but I will tell you, my colleagues kind of talked about how great they were. I have to tell you the Star Wars piece really got me. And you know why it got me? Because I was watching the Kennedy Center Honors, and they had, so let me just back up. So at the high school, at the second concert, they had the big screen come down and they did like a video montage of clips from episodes 4, 5, and 6. I can't believe we're talking about Star Wars at a board meeting, but there's a reason. So they had the video montage, they had the orchestra. I mean, it was just phenomenal. The music was great, the kids were awesome. I felt like I was actually listening to the soundtrack for the Star Wars. So you fast forward to the Kennedy Center Awards, where they do something similar. And I was just like, wow, my kids did that. So it was, so I'm sitting here watching TV, but I'm like, they needed to come to Baldwin. They didn't have to go there to see that. I mean, it was phenomenal. So I actually made all concerts except the one at Brookside because I was in Florida. I'm sorry, but I will try to get to Brookside in the spring. And from what I saw, like I said, like Mr. Press, the students were phenomenal. The commitment that the students make, it's just, and to watch the progression from elementary to the middle school and then to the high school, there are no words to describe it. They're just phenomenal. And Dr. Kim, you forgot to mention something that Mr. Press always talks about when his kids were here, the spelling bee. And the only reason I bring it up, people wonder why. And they don't do it now, right? And the only reason I bring it up, not the only reason, I mean, I can congratulate all the winners. I know, sales, but if I can't do it, then why have a job? I congratulate all the spelling bee winners, including the one who won it from Plaza, who happens to be my daughter.
I'm going to toot her horn too. Your daughter's in 4th grade.
Yes, she is.
So it's a 4th and 5th graders competing, and her daughter is in 4th grade.
Right. And the runner-up too was a 4th grader as well, and they're both friends. So I was over the moon. So had to put that out there. Okay. So. No, she's not. She's at home studying for the house show.
what you said about the devil is in the details, I can't stress that enough. I would be remiss if I did not warn the public that when you read articles in the paper and when you see numbers in the paper, that they are sometimes printed prematurely and the numbers don't always give the full detail. So while Newsday, for example, printed the amount of money that we were going to receive from the restoration of the GEA, there was nowhere in there that it was over 2 years, and that came as a surprise to school districts today. So until the check is in the mail, we really can't count on anything. I also want to make the point that as we get into budget season, it's really important to note that all of the good news that we report, is as a result of a lot of hard work and diligence amongst all of the district office and our buildings. There is a lot of conservativeness when it comes to spending and budgeting. And it's important to note because just because we are doing the things that we're doing does not mean that A, it's not coming at the expense of something else that we have cut as a result of it, nor does it indicate that all of the cuts that were done in years past have been restored or do not impact the system. And what we've been able to do in terms of renting of Schubert, for example, and renting of Milburn are at this moment short-term. And so we cannot rely or count on that income over a long period of time. So I don't say that with doom and gloom. I say that as a point of reference and information for our community, because we are not rolling in the dough by any stretch of the imagination. We have withstood some deep cuts over the years. We managed to do what we need to do, but it is not without the stress of that in the system. So we remain optimistic. We plan going forward, but let's not think that, as I kid when we started, that we hit the lottery.
And so you hit the lottery, you definitely breaking off balls on a little something, something, right? No, she's looking like, no, that's not gonna happen. All right, we'll have to consider that in your evaluation. All right, we're gonna move to our comments and questions one, and I have to apologize, I forgot my script. I bet you guys are really upset about that. So I'm just gonna hit the highlights. We're gonna open the first session. It's timed. It's a 30-minute session. Each speaker comes to the mic. They get 3 minutes to speak. One time at the mic at a time. We cannot talk about personnel issues or specific student issues in public comment session. And I ask, as I always ask, to, when you address your comments, address them to me. I'll direct them. If I can't answer them, I'll direct them to the person that we need to, if I can't, and do it in a respectful manner, please. And also when you come to the mic, name, first name, last name, and your address. Did I hit it? Did I get everything? Okay. All right. Mary, you ready? All right. Mic's open. You do, but it's not on, because if you don't speak, then it won't catch up on the video.
How's that?
Okay, great, thanks.
Hi, I'm here in my capacity as County Legislator, Laura Curran. My work address is 1550 Franklin Avenue in Mineola, 11501. And I sent to the board information about the traffic study for Grand Avenue. And Joel, Mr. Press, emailed me some concerns, which I passed on to our planner, so thank you very much for that. I also wanted to let you know, I'm here just to speak more sort of informally. We've had our planners and engineers speak with the fire department, the sanitation district, and the library board. So if you as a board and administration would want to meet with them as well, we can certainly set that up if you have questions and concerns. Because obviously Grand Avenue, being the main artery, is very important to our school districts, parents, teachers, students trying to get to school on time, their safety issues. And just to give you a little bit of an overview of what the traffic study is, we won a federal grant, the county won a federal grant to do a traffic study. So we looked at a 1.4-mile corridor from Stanton down to Merrick Road. And I just want to emphasize at this point that the study has been, the recommendations from the study have been released, and that's what I sent you. But at this point, it is still just a study. Nothing is yet set in stone, so we're still getting input. Two main goals for this traffic study. It's a complete streets project, which means it's with an eye to making it safer and more efficient for all users. So for people to drive, but also for people to walk, for buses, for bicyclists, and to make it more safe. And right now, in that corridor, there are an average of 300 accidents a year, which, although of course many are fender benders, that's almost one a day. It's still too many. And the second goal is really intertwined with the first goal, and that is to spur economic development. When people walk, they spend more money. When it's more welcoming, they want to walk. It just makes sense. So when I said we wanted to make it more attractive for all users, I'm also talking about businesses and consumers. The plan, just to give you some of the details, improves pedestrian crossing, optimizes signal timing to improve the flow, better bus shelters, bump outs at some intersections. It also includes left turn lanes with turn signals at Seaman Avenue and St. Luke's Place. The most controversial aspect of the plan is a road diet, a so-called road diet between Sunrise and Merrick, taking the 2 lanes in each direction on that stretch, turning it to 1 lane in each direction with a turn lane down the middle. And the concern, as is obvious, would be congestion. It's not great right now at rush hour, but our engineers say that with improved timing of the signals and with turn lanes that start 600 feet back to allow people to fan out to turn and get to the signals in time, it will take you about the same amount of time at rush hour that it takes you now. If it turns out in the engineering and design phase that it's going to be a nightmare, it's not going to happen. And if it turns out that it's going to be unsafe with the synchronization, there's all kinds of technology now that they can predict this. That's my 3 minutes. I'll just wrap it up. The number one concern about Baldwin that I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard as well, is Grand Avenue. So here's a chance that we can actually do something about it. This is why I'm such a fan of the project. I'm such an advocate. And please get in touch with me if you would like to set up or get more information. We can do the PowerPoint, the whole spiel. And because as a school board, obviously, you have a vested interest in this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.
I just want to add that about once a month I meet with high school students who are my superintendent's advisory council, and sometimes I have an agenda, but in any case the students can always bring up any of their questions and points. And at our last meeting, they started the meeting and they were asking all about the traffic study. They had very definite opinions about what they wanted to see on Grand Avenue. They are huge consumers. And so I spoke with Ms. Curran, I spoke with Karen Montalbano, and Eric Mahler, who represents the Chamber of Commerce, Civic Association, and Nassau County. And they are coming to meet with our students next month during our next meeting so that they can hear directly from our kids what they, as citizens of Baldwin and consumers in Baldwin, would like to see on Grand Avenue. So I think it's important to know that our kids are involved in that conversation as well. So thank you for meeting with them.
Robert Kugelmass, 979 Van Buren Street. The Baldwin School District is divided into 3 parts. Baldwinus est omnis divisa in partes tres. The first part is the Baldwin Daycare Center, crucially important, especially to working parents with elementary age students. It's safe, warm, well-staffed, but it's closed for 5 weeks during September through June, and all summer too. 4-year-old tushies are wiped at minimum wage, but 5-year-old bottoms are the reward for our most expensive senior teachers, an easy tour of duty prior to retirement. The second part is Camp Baldwin. Sports, musical, sports night, music, dancing, arts and crafts, extracurricular, just like any suburban public school in America. Oh, this year we have a movie studio where all the campers can make extensive selfies. And some board members, Madam President, are also big fans of the photo op. When the board, flush with cash, wanted to exact retribution for a failed 7% tax increase, they chose to cut from Camp Baldwin, while school districts across the nation with costs per student half of ours continued with their sports and music. The third part is the academic program, the raison d'etre of our school district. We're a very expensive but average suburban school district. I'm being kind. We're a bottom quartile school district. We're paying a lot for very mediocre results, whitewashed by an overzealous PR department. Wow, a student was accepted to Carnegie Mellon. So are a lot of kids from Pittsburgh and West Virginia who were educated at half the cost. And so were kids from private Long Island schools and New York City schools who were educated at 2/3 the cost. Your fiscal mismanagement and perpetual tax increases robs our students, our buildings, our residents, and our Nassau economy. They are toxic. They've driven the rich Nassau County into receivership. Just ask Mrs. Kern. Every year, you raise taxes and benefits. Some of the board members are just poor fiduciaries. Others are fifth columnists, quislings, and traders. You reward cronies and friends at the expense of the students. You have to push back on costs, 80% of which are payroll and benefits. It can be done, but the school board collaborators take the easy path and choose to saddle our properties with additional mortgages and calculable liens on the future of the Baldwin School District. And what have you bought? Very average suburban schooling with the highest price tag nationwide. You must and can deflate the budget. I'll explain how in the second comment period, or if I have time in this comment.
It was so nice that 2016 doesn't start off any different than 2015. How about that? Okay, seeing that I have no one else at the mic, I would like to continue with our business. We're going to continue with our business. You can come back in the second period. No,
we have 30 minutes. You know the rules.
Excuse me. First of all, Mr. Klugemas, I am the chair of this, and if I decide that we want to cut off the comment period, I am within my right to do so. Hi, Ms. Trulson.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mary Hickey Trulson, and I live in Levittown in the Island Tree School District, but I'm very proud to say I'm a teacher here at the Baldwin School District. I'm an English teacher at the high school. And just to comment on the other comments about the concerts, this year I attended the honors concert in October. It was the first concert I'd been to at Baldwin because my children were in concerts and I belong to the Island Trees Community Chorus, and I was in concerts, so I never got a chance. And I, like you, was breathless, completely breathless. Kids are amazing. But speaking of the arts, I'm here tonight to ask the board if there will be a possibility that we'll be able to do the other two shows that are on the school calendar. The middle school, which is usually a drama or a comedy, and then the student-directed play. So I just wanted to pose that question to you guys. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ms. Trulson, I cannot give an answer to you at this point.
Okay.
I will have to get back to you. Okay?
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Jordan Spencer. I live at 3446 Cary Lane, Bolton, New York. For the comments about the budget earlier, I must say I'm a part of the band, and the budget is a big part of what the band does. So, and the play as well. The play, if you didn't see Anything Goes, you really missed out because that play was really amazing. So, even though we do have a high budget, I must say it's being used into good use because students are benefiting as a result. Because for some students, music is their only opportunity to really excel at a higher education. So for that comment earlier, I must say that it's pretty invalid because a lot of students result and go to college just for music in general. So That's what I was saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing that I have no one new, Mr. Kugelmas? No, you will not. You can come back for the second series.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last month, I
Thank
showed
you.
you the courtesy of sitting down. Just give me another 3 minutes, okay? I showed you the courtesy last month,
So,
and I was still busted by the class of 58 in the second comment period.
Okay, so Mr. Kugelmas, may I ask you this? If we give you your 3 minutes now, will we not hear from you at the end?
No, I've got 12 minutes here. So let's do 3 minutes now, and, I can tag it on to the end of the second comment period. I mean, if you want to change the rules, change them for next month. But every month it's been 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, and now unilaterally you've decided to change it, even
Because I can
though
do
you
that.
declared it at the beginning of this comment
Mr.
period.
Kugelmas, do you understand? I am the chair of this meeting. You're not telling us anything new.
You're repudiating what you said at the beginning of the comment period.
Mr. Kugelmas, I am the chair of this meeting. Period. So if I decide that we're going to cut this because we need to get through our business, and I'm asking you to come back because, it's on time, and usually this session is for people who are not able to stay, and you are able to stay.
I want the people who can't stay to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
Just another 3 minutes, okay? 3 minutes.
No. Let me ask. Excuse me. I have to address this. My board members, can I please ask?
We have a business meeting too. Yeah, so I think we should continue with our business, we can sign off the students that are here that need to, and then Mr. Kugelmas can go on.
Thank you.
Mr. Kugelmas, you said you have 12 minutes, you already have 3.
I'm sorry.
You have 3 minutes that you already utilized, so why don't you utilize the remaining 9 minutes that you need for the end of the session? You'll still get the same amount of time that you need, you'll just get the untimed portion and do your 9-minute session there. That'll help. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Board of Education, Personnel Action Report. The Board of Education approves the Personnel Actions Report for January 13, 2016, as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. DeRuska. Thank you, Mr. DeRuska. This contains names of the person, and we cannot discuss this in public. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay.
So in the Personnel Actions Report, we gave tenure to Christine Biancanello, who is here today, so let's say congratulations to Christine. It doesn't mean tomorrow you work any less hard than you have.
Okay. Thank you. Congratulations. Continued success, and I hope you in your career and you want to retire and all that fun stuff here. The Board of Education approves recommendation for services of the Committee on Special Education sub-CSC 504 Committee and Committee on Preschool Special Education in November and December 2015 as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Again, because these contain names of students, we're not allowed to discuss in public. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. The Board of Education approves the Home Tutoring and Special Education Services Report as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. DeRuska. Again, this contains names of students so we cannot discuss this in public. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. The Board of Education accepts with thanks a donation from the Baldwin Retired Teachers Association in the amount of $7,000 for 7 scholarships of $1,000 each for 1 student from each of the 7 elementary schools in existence during their elementary school years, as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Eska?
What is the criteria after, now that we're given the funds, what's the criteria to be awarded this?
We have, just go ahead.
It says good grades I think it goes over the guidance officer.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah. At the building level.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education establishes the per pupil's tuition rate for grades K to 6 and grades 7 to 12 according to this estimated non-resident tuition report provided by SED as detailed in the Friday mailing. Regular education, grades K to 6, $16,136. Grades 7 to 12, $14,989. Special education, grades K to 6, $45,772. Grades 7 to 12, $44,625.
So,
Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan, second by Mr. Press. Are there any questions or comments on this? Sorry, I needed to get a little water, a little dry there. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. The Board of Education approves the SECRA Type 2 resolution for the replacement of electric sign at the high school as detailed in the Friday mail. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. DeRusco. Are there any questions or comments on this item? No? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves the agreement with Creative Connections for performance at Steel in the amount of $3,066 as detailed in the Friday mail. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. I'm sorry, questions or comments on this item? No? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves an amendment to the previously approved contract with Blue Sea Educational Consulting Incorporated to provide resource room and home instruction services for the 2015-16 school year as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. DeRusco. Are there any questions or comments on this item? No? All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves the contract with Jonathan Cooper to provide social skills counseling services for the 2015-16 school year as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. DeRusco. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education contracts the approved special education programs based upon strategic evaluation data collection and analysis and reporting, SEDCAR 1, applications and their corresponding October 1st, 2014 child count. The per pupil allocation for students placed in the program under section 619, 3 to 5-year-olds is $460, and for section 611, 3 to 21-year-olds is $1,086. The per pupil allocation for students receiving related services only under section 619 is $153.33, and for section 611 is $362 as detailed in the Friday mail. Second. I beat you. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan and second by Mrs. Reed. Yes, I did. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. I just want to throw you guys off a little bit. What? The Board of Education approved the contract for Levittown Public Schools for 2 students who attend St. Christopher School in the 2014-15 school year, with Baldwin School District providing evaluations and CSE meetings as detailed in the Friday mail. Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves the agreement with Verizon, which grants the limited license and right to produce and exhibit select sports, games, and other events as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Price. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves the agreement with Capital Markets Advisors, LLC, to prepare a waiver application for a fee of $2,500 as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. DeRusco. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves the agreement with Long Island Youth Foundation to implement Purple Pearls as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves the agreement with Colleen Jamieson to provide professional development, strategic instruction model, SIM, training in the amount of $1,100 as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Were you singing?
No. The next 7 items are all declaration of obsolete equipment. I would like to move that we accept them as a consent agenda.
No. Shut up. So we're moving to do this as a consent agenda. Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. DeRusca. So all those in favor to take items 13 through 19 as a consent? Aye. So, we just approved that. Whoa. You didn't tell me you were doing that. Okay, nice. Okay, so use of facilities. Do I have to approve the consent? I'm sorry.
Yes.
This is the first time you've thrown me off. Okay, so, to do them as a consent
Right,
now,
now
so
you
we're
have to
gonna
take, we have to take the vote.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve items 13 through 19 as a consent. Second. Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. DeRusca. We don't need to discuss, because all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, nice. Whoa, see, Mr. What is it, 9 o'clock? What is it, 9:15? Okay, well, I can tell on to. Okay, use of facilities. The Board of Education approves the use of facilities report for January 2016 through June 2016 as detailed in the Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, the Board of Education, the Board of Education approves the resolution for the reporting requirements for elected or appointed officials as detailed in Friday mailing. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. All those in favor? Aye. I didn't ask if there was discussion, sorry. There was no question or anything on this, right? Okay. All right, NISBA liaison. Before you do it? Yeah, we need to discuss that. Hold on. So NISBA is asking for a liaison from each of the school districts to, and NISBA is the New York State School Boards Association. And we got in our mailing what that job entails. So we have a person who's the legislative representative, and so I was thinking, we kind of talked about it during the agenda with Sherry, that maybe that person would take that on unless there was somebody who had a burning desire to do this. So, I know, but Annie might want to do it. Is that necessarily? She gave the word. You know, Mary Jo might want to do it.
No, yay you. No.
That's what I want to do about the street. Jeez. All right then.
Okay.
All right, so then we're all in consensus that, okay, all right, Joel Press. Okay, so now we need to take board action on this. The Board of Education appoints Joel Press as the NISBA liaison as detailed in the Friday mail.
So
Moved, oh wow, everyone's moving this. Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan, second by Mrs. DeRusca. You just volunteered, what are you talking about? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. The resolution, the Board of Education adopts the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes its attorneys, Ingram & Smith LLP, to commence legal action against the County of Nassau, the Nassau County Treasurer, the Nassau County Legislator, the Nassau County Executive, and the Long Island Power Authority, LIPA, and other proper parties as deemed necessary by council in connection with Nassau County's implementation of the LIFA Reform Act and LIFA's payment in lieu of taxes. And be it further resolved that the board authorizes the payment of a maximum of $250 per hour as compensation to its attorneys, subject to separate letter of engagement with the firm. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. DeRusco. Because this is a legal item, when, okay, we cannot discuss this in public, right? We're just gonna go ahead. Okay. Because we discussed it in itself, right? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, under other. Do we have, anybody have anything under other?
I would just like to make an announcement, and that is to offer congratulations to B.A. Shum, who was, as you well know, a longtime member of this board. He has been elected Area 11 Director for the New York State School Boards Association. And what that means, Nassau County is considered Area 11. There are all the different parts of the state are designated by area. And the person who is the Area 11 Director then serves as a liaison between local school boards and the state. And he now will sit on the Board of Directors for the New York State School Boards Association, attend their meetings up in Albany. So I would just like to say that he has been elected and offer my congratulations.
As the rest of us, I believe.
Yes.